one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. Going to be going on about a film that was brought to our attention by my fiance Tammy. So, Tammy, why don't you tell us to this week?
It was the Comedy of Terrors.
And the Comedy of Terrors was filmed in 1963. It was directed by Jacques Tourneur, and I am actually familiar with Jacques. I think he did one other with Val Lewton, but he also directed a movie that I don't think we've covered here. Let's see what IMDb says about the film real fast. Bring it up. Since I figure out. Helping in that manner. And okay, so IMDb says this: dishonest undertaker Felix Gilly. They cannot find willing ones. So, L.C. Lee. Richard Matheson is well known for doing or writing the original story of I Am Legend, which, if you know anything about film adaptations of that particular story, believe the last living man on Earth, I Am Omega, did I Am Legend. So those, but that is neither here nor now. So, let us uh, first impressions here. Um,
David, just so
why
you
don't you
know,
bring us into it?
mm, David, just so you know, you keep fading in and out. So,
I thought that was an issue on my end, that my connection was glitching or something. Thanks, Tammy.
Did you want to bring us into first impressions, Tammy?
sure. Boris, you want to tell us your first impressions?
Oh, okay, I can. So, as you probably imagined, yes, this was the first time I saw this movie, and even though it's maybe not the type of movie I normally go for, it still did have enough elements that are to my tastes for me to enjoy it. It was, I guess, for that time period, a horror comedy. For today's standards, not so much horror. I would say it was kind of a dark comedy. uh, Back then, it was probably funnier to people who like such humor than nowadays, but it still had quite several really good moments. And it also had a fairly good dose of suspense. There were maybe some parts where it was a little bit slow, but overall it was still pretty good. I did have some good laughs with it, a few good spudouts, and so on. And overall, I'd say I enjoyed it fairly well.
Okay, is that it?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Okay. How about you, David?
I'm not exactly sure when the first time I saw this. I actually saw this, I think, before Tammy, you actually started liking it more. Um, I'd gotten it in a Scream Legends set from MGM with Vincent Price in it, and it's an interesting film because it's got Peter Lorre, who was a interesting actor. He often played some weird ass roles, and his voice was always very distinct. You know, yes, master, no, master. You know, um, I seem to remember his voice being imitated in cartoons as well, um, Looney Tunes and whatnot from time to time. Um, but he's definitely fairly older in this movie. So is Boris Karloff. He plays the father. That seems to be only chiming in when he wants to. Um, and Basil Rathbone is actually rather older too. Um, he is well known for playing the Sherlock Holmes character um, for a time, um, and some other detective type movies as well. Um, but I think this is kind of a mad cat meant to be more funny than um, it is now for me. Um, I do think that it's interesting that it uses the backdrop of the William Shakespeare play Hamlet uh, in the background with I do believe Basil Rathbone's character. He plays the landlord, and he is basically through the second half of the movie.
I'm sorry. I think that drama is Macbeth, not Hamlet.
It is, yeah. I think it's a little bit of both Macbeth and Hamlet,
Oh,
because Rosen, the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are mentioned several times, and
oh,
those characters are from Hamlet. I also remember
oh.
hearing the name Claudius at one
In
point in
this
time
movie,
in this movie.
I didn't notice that name in this movie, but maybe I just forgot.
It was mentioned by the landlord's character while he was reciting lines. Yes, he was doing Macbeth, but he was also stating things to Rosencrantz and um, uh, Guildenstern or whatever. Those are names from Hamlet, and those were characters that were supposedly spies for King Claudius, who was Prince Hamlet's enemy. So, um, but also there is a William Shakespeare play called The Cow. William Shakespeare. Whether or not it has anything to do with the Comedy of Errors, um, I do not know. I'm assuming maybe it does. Back to you, Tammy. What was this a first time watch for you?
No, in fact, the first time I watched it was, oh, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think. I was watching your parents' house and was looking for something to watch, and this came up, and when I saw all the people that were in it, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I know a lot of those names. This has got to be good. So,
I
um,
don't believe that's your first time though. Though we actually watched it all when we watched the Scream Legends collection when I first got mine.
well, I don't remember.
So
If we did, we
mhm,
did. But I say when I remember watching
I
it.
know you don't
So,
remember that.
but yeah, I really liked it. I got a kick out of all the characters, and um, of course the kitty cat, and
I knew it.
um, and Vincent Price has always been, uh, you know, I've really liked a lot of things he's been in. So of course, I didn't know about the kitty cat till after I turned it on and started watching it, but you know, but yes, I had a lot of fun, and I have since then I take usually anytime it shows up, take the opportunity to watch it because you know it's just fun. To me, it's fun. So it seemed like when we were rewatching it the other night that David wasn't quite as amused with it as I was, but teach their own. So,
Fair enough, yeah.
but
It's just I'd seen the humor before. When I've seen humor before, and I've seen it once, then I've already it's the punchline when you get it the first time, you know.
I
And once you've seen it, you've seen it, and then it doesn't have the same effect on me.
I guess, but if I think something's funny once, that doesn't mean I won't think it's funny again. But I guess to each his own.
Well,
So
some things can be
Yep.
funny more than once, to me at least. Like the words "put down."
Well, I think Bunny the Killer Thing is funny. I think Bunny the Killer Thing is funny over and over. So
Pussy.
I was just gonna say, David, if you don't think things are funny more than
see,
once,
even you think so.
then you might as well get rid of like half of your collection. What's the point of watching it again if you're not going to be amused?
Oh.
I am amused by everything in my collection. That doesn't mean I find so, like, I don't know. There are things I find funny over and over, but there are some things, and it takes a long time from viewing it the first time in order for me to be able to be amused again. When it comes to films from like the 1960s, um, although I will say almost every single Abbott and Costello film, I am definitely always going to be amused by, or um, not necessarily the Three Stooges, but the other four, the other comedy team that I introduced you to.
Marx Brothers.
The Marx Brothers, yes. The Marx Brothers are funny as shit.
Well,
Maybe not as much in their later comedies, but definitely their earlier.
you know, Laurie and Price were almost like Abbott and Costello in this movie. You
Uh,
know,
uh, to,
the comedy
uh,
between them and the things that went on, especially Laurie's character. He he just gets in nothing but trouble. Just like Costello. You know.
I personally was reminded of Jasper and Horace from 101
Well, yeah,
Dalmatians.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who? We?
just a little bit. He's talking about the creeps who work for Cruella Deville when they were creeping around in the
Oh,
house and whatnot and getting
Yeah.
themselves into trouble. It's fairly
Yeah.
similar
Right?
yeah, I can see that, but it
to their
reminded me more of
antics.
Abbott and Costello. That's all. But anyways,
Or
I guess we should get
another.
on with things.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, our story here is about um Vincent Price's character is um, well, in the beginning you see that he is obviously very unhappily married, as he can't say a nice thing to his wife at all. He's obviously a drunk, and it seems like he has run her father's business basically into the ground. It's either that or people just aren't buying fast enough to keep him busy, you know. So
Yeah.
he is to the point where he is like every time there's a service, he is reusing the coffin because he can't afford to have new ones, unbeknownst to the people who used his services. Um, he keeps trying to poison his, I guess, would be father-in-law. And all he
Yes.
does is order his like understudy around constantly, and basically it seems like his understudy is, and he escaped from jail for getting in trouble for breaking into places, but he is actually not really that good of a picking the lock picking locks as he may think he is. That's how come he got caught and was in jail. So he basically became the understudy because it's either go back to jail or help me. Hmm. So he puts up with all the
He basically became Trumbull's scapegoat for everything.
right, because he really doesn't have a choice. But he is totally in love with um, Trumbull's wife, and he just thinks that her singing, she sings like a nightingale. Well,
Almost certainly.
that's his words. So maybe it's a drunken nightingale, but he's referring to. But yeah, she sure doesn't sing like a total nightingale. We see her and hear
No,
her
she doesn't.
singing,
And
and
she seems.
even the cat is covering up its ears.
Drunken
And she keeps
nightingale.
making claims that she could have been an opera singer before she married him.
Right. And that's where some of your sprows come in. When she starts singing, things start breaking.
Oh yeah. Although isn't that a little later into the movie?
It
No.
starts out in the very beginning.
Yeah. She
It,
doesn't.
it happens during that first argument between husband and wife. She starts to
Yes.
sing and things begin to break. And that's when the cat covers its ears and, you know, glasses break. And it happens again later in the movie, yes. But it happens here too, in the beginning.
And the cat that they have in this movie is just awesome. He's got expressions, and when they're arguing at the table, he's looking from one to the other to the
I
other,
think this
and
is the
then
first movie I've ever seen where a cat is actually standing on top of a, a horse and buggy carriage.
Oh yeah, by the way, isn't the cat actually female? They call the cat Cleopatra, if I remember correctly.
right.
They call it Cleopatra, but in the very beginning in the credits, they call it Rhubarb for some
Ah,
reason. Rhubarb as Cleopatra. I don't know
uh,
why.
well, that's probably the cat's name
And
in
yet,
real life.
if you look, if you look on IMDb, they call it Orangey.
Interesting.
But anyways, yes, the cat. This has got to be the
So
first cat that I've seen that can sit
we,
there and look back and forth to people arguing, and then be watching. He's
except we
evidently
know
very attached to the father.
that they call it Cleopatra in the movie.
Okay, as I
Its
was
real
saying,
name could be Orangey.
Cleopatra seems very attached to the father. You know, and seems to go with him everywhere. But it's funny. It's just I've never seen the cat have so much expressions and and things like that, and pay attention to so much stuff. They have this cat doing it here. So, but anyways, um,
Yeah.
what's the name of Lori's character again?
Felix, Felix Gilly.
Anyways, Felix is downstairs trying to come up with a new idea for a coffin while everybody's upstairs arguing. And Trimble comes down and says he kicks it apart, yells at him, and says he's gonna go and get drunk. And when he goes to get drunk, then we see the landlord. And the landlord tells him he's got till noon, I believe, the next day or something, to come up with the back rent from the whole year. Otherwise, that's it. There is no more
I don't
nothing.
know about you, but landlords these days. I don't know about you, but landlords these days don't wait a year for rent. They
Uh,
kick
yeah.
you out or
And
try
see,
like
the
way before that.
father-in-law, the father-in-law is quite eccentric, and he his daughter tried to explain to Trouble that what he did with his money was his money to do with what he wants with it. He was quite eccentric with all the things around the house that he bought. He wanted. Um, Trimble thinks everything around the house is trash, worthless, and he just squandered his money.
Mm,
So Trimble comes up with this idea while he is out at the tavern. He meets um, a gentleman that is very well off, and they decide that they're gonna go. Him and Felix decide. Well, he decides. He brings Felix along. They're gonna go break into this guy's house. He's gonna kill him, and then when they get then he's gonna get to do the service and charge enough money, basically, probably to pay the landlord off and shut him up. Okay, so we go along with them for this journey, and first Felix says, the whole time, Trimble is drunk, and Felix is trying to get in, and he's like, well, no wonder you got caught because you're the worst lockpick there is, and da 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 da. So they finally get in. He's telling him to be quiet. And as soon as he says be quiet, he drops all the tools. And they make such a noise. And every time Trimble tells him to be quiet, he knocks something else over or this over. Like they're going up the stairs. And all the way down the stairs, boom, 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 those headpieces go. It's like
oh
every
yeah,
time he tells him to be quiet, he makes a louder
Put
noise.
out.
yeah, that was a major spoodow.
And it's like, and nobody wakes up, but it's like, how can nobody wake up? He opens the door and there's this pretty lady still sound asleep, but he kind of I googled her, you know, and he's telling Felix, stay there, be quiet, don't move, don't even breathe. So
Don't
he
even
finally
breathe.
gets, yep, he finally gets the right room, and um, he puts the pillow over the gentleman's face. It has a little struggle with him, and the whole time Felix could hear this, and he's getting upset listening to it. And afterwards, they sneak out of the house, go back to the carriage, that's down the road, and they wait. And then all of a sudden, here comes a scream because he's been found dead. So the maid comes running out, and she says she's going to go fetch the doctor. Well, he's like, well, let me help you out. Da, 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 da. So he goes up and says, yes, he's dead. And the doctor finally shows up and says, yes, he's dead. And so he's like, he convinces the lady of the house that he's going to take the body and get everything set for the funeral. Okay. So they do. The lady never shows up for the funeral. He goes back out there, and the house is completely empty. The maid says everybody's gone. So they don't get paid. They don't get nothing. And he just is basically out. So, yes, he's throwing a fit.
And he's furious.
Oh, yes. Anybody got anything to say up until now?
But then he gets, but then he gets the idea that he's that. Why didn't I think of this before? Uh, to go. Apparently, the landlord is very well.
And the landlord is
right.
The landlord is very well off and doesn't have any dependents. Yes. So he figures he can kill two birds with one stone. He can get rid of the landlord, and he can get money, and he can be out of debt. That's it. You know. Anybody else have something to say before we get into the fun he has with the landlord?
Oh, well, in the first murder, I found it funny when the widow just uh, went away without paying or anything, and the main guy's efforts were all in vain.
I just found the first one funny because he, you know, it's like every time he said quiet, he made louder noise. You know, it's like
Yeah. Yeah, I found
I couldn't
that
stop
funny.
laughing because every time he would say that, you know.
Yeah,
So,
especially when the statues went down like dominoes.
yeah. Okay, so they decide they're gonna go out to now the landlord's house, and Miss Cleopatra goes with them, and that's where we actually at first see the cat sitting on top of the carriage, but then Cleopatra is watching everything they're doing, and they can't get in no matter what. He tried picking the lock, but it's bolted on the inside, so that doesn't work. All the windows are bolted. So then he finally sees a window that is open up top. And he's trying to boost Felix up there to go get in that window. And that is just, yeah. He is having so many problems trying to get up there, trying to get through that window. And when he finally does, he overhears the landlord reading, I believe, a Shakespeare play. At least that's what I believe it is that he's reading loudly and pretending he's part of this play. Right, David?
Right.
And Felix the whole time is like, go to sleep, and then he keeps reciting it. he keeps reciting this play, and then he gets up and he's swinging this sword around and everything,
and I think he kind of runs into Mr. Gilly, and he basically supposedly dies right there. Supposedly,
right,
right?
right. And then Gilly goes back out, falls down the whole thing, and the whole time the cat's watching everything. I love watching the cat's expressions.
Yeah,
So then
isn't
he's
she cute?
so then they he sends him back up there. He goes for a doctor, and the doctor says that he from everything he can see he's dead. But then I guess the servant said that he's got some condition, and he asked the doctor, "Is he
Catalepsy.
sure? Is he sure that he's dead? Because he's got this condition where if he gets too excited, he can look like he's dead. It's a condition, but he really isn't." And the doctor
Uh,
swears up and down that he really is dead. So,
Catalepsy actually exists. This movie is not the first time I heard of it.
so,
Narcolepsy or
Catalepsy.
cantalepsy. Okay.
so they load his butt up and bring him back to to the house, and they put him on the table and think that they're going to take care of him in the morning. Except for guess what? He wakes up. And
Yeah.
then we get all the fun happening because he wakes up, and then once they get him excited enough or whatever, he does it again so that they can put him in the coffin. And then he wakes up again, and they're trying to keep him in the coffin.
I think that's the. I actually think that part is actually hilarious. Whenever he wakes up, and just continues to make them work to get his ass deceased.
Yeah, although truth be told, I kind of disliked that character, so I was kind of rooting for them to kill him, even though they were kind of the bad guys.
So yes, they finally get him to where I guess they can have the service, which is, you know, just like in the service before, you know, they got to use this pump to make the to make the organ work, and then she's singing, and
Well, yeah. He's dead, but then he's not dead, or something like that.
he's just sleeping. That's what it is. He's not dead. He's just sleeping. I think is
Oh,
He's
what.
not
yeah.
dead, but sleeping.
Yeah.
Not dead yet.
Yeah, the worst thing is that asshole actually survives until the very end.
So yep, they put him in a mausoleum, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get the casket back. Remember, that's the only one they got. So, but then the caretaker for the cemetery hears him and lets him out. And then we have a lot of big spin-outs because Felix keeps wanting to run away with the wife because he doesn't like how he treats her. Trimble is they're counting all his money. She tries to seduce him, and he's like, he won't have anything of it. He's just as rude and nasty as he's always been to her.
We pretty much.
And keeps telling her he's gonna give her father that poison, which her father keeps thinking that that's some medicine. That they keep depriving him of medicine every time he goes to put it in his coffee or whatever, and he yells, "That's my medicine! Why do you keep taking my medicine away?" But the landlord shows up and just about takes her head off up in her bedroom, and then the whole fight happens. Everybody,
Oh yeah. Truth be told, I disliked the landlord since the very beginning because I generally hate most landlords because they give themselves the right to overprice what they give just because people must live somewhere and they take advantage of that for their profit. That was the first reason why I was rooting for him to get killed. But then when he tried to kill the wife who really did nothing wrong, that was when I disliked him even more.
well, yeah, that is a whole big scene at the end with everybody going like after everybody, and you know, it started out with a big celebration. Everybody was celebrating, and then all of a sudden you got this going on. You know, the father's all singing and dancing, and then he wore himself out, so the cat's laying on top of him. You know, everybody is fighting with everybody, and then
well, wife comes to husband, and husband's counting his money, Trumbull, and he's basically nasty to her. So she ends up going, and it seems like she's actually going to try to run away with Gilly, anyways.
Well, yeah,
then,
we already said that. Then the landlord shows up and almost
yeah.
takes her head off, and that's when the whole
Yep.
everybody is going after everybody thing. And
Yep.
you know, the landlord just won't die. You know, I mean, it's an all-out brawl between Trumbull and the landlord, just all-out brawl. Yeah. But it's like in the very end,
there's this running gag that I'm not sure if we've mentioned, where Trumbull is actually trying to poison her father all the time.
I just said that.
And well, okay.
I did say that. I did just say that like just a few minutes ago. And he thinks that it's medicine, and he keeps yelling at him because why can't I have my medicine?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I was mentioning that is because comes up here in this
Right.
last.
In the last thing, yes, the Felix and the wife both wake up, and they do end up running off together. The landlord's dead, and um, the father wakes up and thinks that he's doing good by giving Trumbull the medicine. It is not medicine. So it's poison, and he realizes that's what he gave him, and well, that's the end of him too. So
Yep.
Yeah, no, that was awesome poetic justice.
oh yes, the right people survived. Yes,
Well, and
and the cat.
Of course.
yep.
The funniest thing is that the father literally didn't even know what he was doing.
No, because he kept thinking all along that that was medicine, and every time his daughter would stop Trumbull from giving it to him, he'd sit there and go, why can't I have my medicine? Why do you keep taking it away? Why can't I have my medicine?
Oh, yeah.
He never realized all along that it was not medicine. So I guess part of what I got a kick out of
But
in
that
this whole was um Vincent Price's character was something that I got a kick out of throughout because I'm not used to seeing him drunk and so belligerent and so nasty. You know, he just wasn't nice to anybody. He wasn't nice to anybody at all. And I'm just not
Uh,
used to. I'm just not used to seeing Vincent Price play a character like that. So it was like, okay, you know, kind of trippy that way.
well, yeah.
Laurie's character, I Price and him were in The Raven together, so I've seen Laurie's character be stupid and bumbling and everything else before, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, Peter Lorre has been known to play a Chinese dude in detective noir as Mr. Moto back in the day. So, but he's played like an Igor type character before. I seem to remember him in a movie saying, "Yes, master. I'll do whatever you say, master," in that voice of his. And when he's younger, you can actually hear that in his voice, you know. So,
Well, I got a kick out of the two of them playing off of each other in The Raven too. Him and Vincent Price, they
yeah.
definitely played off of each other in that one. So,
Yep.
but in this one, Vincent Price is just so brutal. It's so nasty. He's just. Does anybody have anything to add about any of the scenes or anything you want to bring up we skipped over or whatever about any of the characters or?
No, I think you pretty much covered most of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's not a real long movie, and there isn't like a whole bunch of stuff like totally going on. You know, you got your main characters, and they're doing their thing, and you know,
It's
say
pretty
it's not.
straightforward, actually.
Yeah, it's not a very long movie either. So yeah, it is supposedly
I think
supposed to be a horror comedy, and I to me, it's more comedy than horror, but you know.
Definitely, yeah. There wasn't really much horror, not to me at least.
Well, just like the Ghost and Mr. Chicken, that one is mostly comedy, not horror too. So
Oh, yeah, I can see the similarity.
Okay, so anybody? Let's go into production there. I know there's a really that much to see. I mean, the scenery to me looked pretty much authentic. They're, you know, all the gags and the props and everything you know, looked good. This was definitely way before you would have any computer or CGI or anything like that. So,
true.
um, so yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job with whatever they had to work with. From what I understood, it was a pretty low budget film. Um,
Huh.
but I think they did a good job. They didn't have um a whole lot of places to be. They had the main house, and then they were at this house, and they were at that house, and that. So it's not like they had a lot of venues. So, but I think
Hmm.
they did good.
Uh, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much same here.
I mean
Uh,
the 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 place that that they all stayed at looked like it was like really fucking small for them. I mean, it had some nooks and crannies and stuff. Um, and so I thought it was convincing. The different houses or whatnot. You could
uh,
tell when they were actually using a screen in the background.
uh, I do have
Like
to
I
say
think
though,
they used a screen in the background whenever they were traveling to a different house.
uh, uh, I have to say though, I did like all the statues and all those fancy items that could be seen in the background.
Well, yeah, the father, uh, that was evidently his business, and that's what she said. Her father was very eccentric, and he liked to collect things. You know, so that's what all that was. That was all the stuff that he bought when it was his business out of with his money. You know, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah, which makes me think that when uh, Trumbull took over, he didn't leave him with any money when he left him the place to run. You know,
right,
when he
and
left his
obvious
sensibilities.
and, and obviously either there's another undertaker in town, or people just were not dying that fast, so he wasn't making money. It makes you think that
Definitely.
Nope.
it's either one or the other, or both. That there's another undertaker in town, or people just weren't dying, or both. So, because if he's
Which
the only
makes me
undertaker in
slightly
town,
think about the Burke.
because if he's the only undertaker in town, he should be the one he should be making money. So for some reason he's not making any money.
Well, their situation kind of reminds me of the Burke and Hare duo, which those are grave robbers, basically, who would they would take dead cadavers and or whatnot and sell them to scientists. But scientists or whatnot would want them more fresh. So they started killing people and bringing those cadavers to scientists
I guess,
and whatnot.
but
And they made a kind of a business doing so.
I guess, but they killed the two for totally different reasons, because they didn't have any business and they're undertakers,
Yes,
They weren't grave robbing to get the money. They
but
were
it's
trying.
but I thought that the production overall was pretty decent.
Oh yeah.
Dave, you're always the one to talk about the music, so go ahead and talk about the music.
For this. Give me
Ooh.
1 second. Cast and crew. So the music was done by Les Baxter. And it looks like Les Baxter did was the composer for Lassie later on in years, and somewhat there. Blood Sabbath, he was the composer behind the film Frogs, Cry of the Banshee, an Evening of Edgar and Allan Poe, Attack of the Eye Creatures, Sadismo. Let's see, Pajama Party, Black Sabbath, Goliath and the Sins of Babylon, Dementia 13, The Terror. But he was the original composer of the original Lassie TV series, The Premature Burial, House of Usher, Battle Beyond the Sun, The Invisible Boy. He was quite well. The Invisible Boy. That's the other movie that you get with the Forbidden Planet. Kind of goes as like a double feature with it because it uses Robbie the Robot was the conductor for that movie, the Invisible Boy. So guess this guy is no stranger to working with Vincent Price. So I guess take us into favorite scenes and our favorite characters, Tammy.
Well, go ahead, Boris.
My favorite character was the cat. But I did also like Felix and what was the wife's name? Amaryllis. Yeah, I did kind of like them, but yeah, my favorite character was definitely the cat. And my favorite scene, ooh, all the moments when the cat appeared for no reason other than just to be cute. But I did like all the good spoodaus in the movie when things were tumbling down and glass surfaces cracking from the woman's singing voice. And of course, the ending when the old man unknowingly poisoned Mr. Trumbull.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I think that would be it.
Um. Okay. I agree with you. I like a lot of a lot of the scenes with the kid he has, and the cat is one of my favorites. I but I like Vincent Price a lot, so he's got to be one. Um. Yet the ending was great. I mean, that whole scene was cool. So
Vincent Price's character was also quite funny, and there was a part of the movie when I was actually rooting for him, but when he tried to kill his wife for not much of a reason, actually, then I no longer liked him.
I just got a kick out of his character as ruthless as he was and brutal. I just because I am not used to seeing him like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess one of my favorite other scenes is the first when they go to the first guy's house, and he keeps telling him, "Be quiet." He drops all the tools. He tells him
Spudo.
to be quiet again, and he does something else. And he tells him to be quiet, and all those statues roll. And it's like, hey, it's.
Definitely.
So, what about you, David?
Um, I would have to say my favorite character in here was, well, I always liked Vincent Price as an actor. He's very versatile as an actor, and if you saw him in a lot of things, he can play a lot of different characters. He can play the straight-laced, honest man, as well as the most evil man that you could probably think of.
And he can play a
Um,
drunk very well too.
yeah, he can play a drunk very well. Um, but I like both him and Peter Lorre as actors. I even like Boris Karloff in here, even though he really didn't have a whole lot to do. I think he played just enough to get himself noticed. You know, as the why are you taking my medicine away? You know, that character. You didn't have to take my medicine away. You're always taking my medicine away. um,
Yeah.
the cat's cute. I did like the fact that it did some interesting things. Um, never seen a cat on top of a carriage like that, just standing on top. That was cute. Um,
I just got a
so
kick out of his expression. Like every time the camera would go to him, and he'd be watching something or whatever, and he'd just be looking and look, you know.
I got a kick out of. Um, I think I will always remember her. He is not dead but sleeping. You know, he is not
Definitely.
dead at all. um,
Yeah, by the time she
so,
got to like the second or third verse, it's like, shut up.
Yeah.
well, she was purposely singing bad. But I guess you could say I could see how she could actually sing good if she wanted to. But she
Really?
was play she there were notes that she actually did get in key. So I could see where if she wasn't purposely doing it, she could probably actually sing. But she was
Huh.
purposely not singing great. I can purposely not sing great if I really want to.
I can not purposely sing good. I can only sing horrible.
Well, to each their own. I mean, sometimes you can sing, or sometimes you can sing. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to what you want to purposely do. I'm trying to sing. You know.
Yeah, but in my case, even when I try to sing well, it sounds pretty bad.
Well, that's why you could never go to church. But anyways, um, or if you really wanted to annoy someone, that's always a good thing. So,
ah,
favorite
singing to them.
scene, scenes would probably be whenever Basil Rathbone's character uh, woke up from his catalepsy.
Well,
Every time he seemed to wake up and startle them. Can't you just die already,
well,
sir?
honestly,
You are
after
dead. You've been labeled dead.
yeah, honestly, after all the shit he did at the end, I kind of hoped he would stay dead.
Which I think he did. Uh, uh, uh,
Actually, I
he'd
think
been
he
shot
woke
enough.
up at the very end. We just didn't see it, but
Oh,
we heard his voice at the very end, I think, saying, "What is this place?"
ah. Alrighty, and you've already gone, correct, Tammy?
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, I guess at the end of the day, I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, have enjoyed our discussion on this film. No, it didn't take very long, but it wasn't a very long movie to begin with. So,
Ooh,
if you haven't seen this movie, definitely go out and see it. And once you have, come back here, enjoy our little discussion here, and let us know down in the comments what you thought. And believe it's my turn next, correct?
Uh,
yes. Yes, last week it was me with Toxic Avenger.
Okay. So, trying to think, what would I like to
Think with
have
your
we ever
dipstick,
done?
Jimmy.
Do you know if we have ever done Forbidden Planet?
Ooh, I don't think so. Let's see. Forbidden Planet. IMDb from 1956.
Yes.
Ooh, I I don't think we have.
Then let us do Forbidden Planet.
Who?
So we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen, with Forbidden Planet. Um, in any case, uh, everyone say good night.
good night.
Good night, everyone.
Oh.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.